Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bianca and this is going to be a video about this book series that I want to finish and that I want to start. So please take a minute and hit that subscribe button down below so you can get notifications for when I update videos. I try to update once a week and I'm always trying to put out new content. So the first series on my list is the Throne of Glass series. I have started this. I have not yet finished a single book. This is a series that has 8 books. The first of which is The Assassin's Blade, which is a collection of short stories about Selena Sardothian's life prior to being imprisoned in the salt mines of Endeavor. So you have The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. So all of these follow Selena Sardothian, who is an assassin. And as she is serving her time for crimes committed, she is released on the orders of, I believe, the Crown Prince, who wants her to return to the kingdom to join a, I want to say contest. I don't think it's called a contest though. To look for a champion for the kingdom. So she will become the king's assassin if she wins. The deal is that she will be freed after a certain time period of serving the king. I've heard good and bad things about this series. I've started both The Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass. I have not gotten very far. It is obviously a very long series, but it is definitely one that I would love to at least finish a few books from this year. So the second series on my list is one that I have not started. I haven't even read a page from. This is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. I've heard amazing things about this series. It's relatively short. There's only 4 books. You have Stalking Jack the Ripper, you have Hunting Prince Dracula, then there is Escaping Houdini, and Capturing the Devil. So I believe each book follows the same main character, but each book is a story in and of itself. They aren't connected, they just follow the same characters. I do know that the main character is a woman. It is set in the past, and she is not like other women from her time period. She works in forensics medicine, and that is where her true passion lies. Obviously, the first book follows the Jack the Ripper murders, so it's kind of grisly and graphic, I believe, but these books do include romance, I believe, between the main female character and the main male character. So definitely something I want to pick up. I'm really interested and I've heard great things. The next series on my list is the Nevermore series. I believe the author is planning to write 6 to 9 books in this series, but there are only 3 out currently and a 4th one coming out this year. The first one is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. Then there is Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. And then we have Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow. So these follow a young girl named Morgan Crow who is thought to be cursed, and her adventures as she discovers her power and is whisked off to a world where there's a society called the Wondrous Society. I obviously don't know a lot about the series. It is a middle grade and I have heard amazing things, so it is definitely one that I would like to pick up. The next series on my list is one that I have not started. It is a trilogy. So this is the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I've heard amazing things. I have been very interested. I haven't started it. I tried the Illuminae Files, reading the ebook, and couldn't get into it. So what I've heard is you should read the Illuminae Files and listen to the audiobook at the same time. So that is what I am aiming to do. The Illuminae Files is a mixed media format, so there's actual like files about what's happening in the books. So apparently this takes place far in the future in the year 2575, and Illuminae follows Katie Hunt and her ex-boyfriend, Ezra Mason, as their planet goes to war. So they are sent off into space, and it's a big thing. There are 3 books. There's Illuminae, Gemina, and Obsidio, and apparently each book follows a different main couple as they experience the same invasion, just their different points of view. So it seems interesting. I've heard amazing things, and again, very interested to pick up something that's different from what I normally read. I'm not a big sci-fi person, so I definitely want to try this. The next series on my list is another middle grade. This is the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series by Rick Riordan. This obviously follows Percy Jackson, who is a demigod. His father is Poseidon, the god of the oceans or water, and as he goes to Camp Half-Blood, where all of the other children of the gods attend. So this is I believe a 5-book series. So there is Percy Jackson and the Olympians and the Lightning Thief. Then there is the Sea of Monsters, followed by the Titan's Curse and the Battle of the Labyrinth, and then the final book in the series, which is The Last Olympian. I've heard amazing things about Rick Riordan's work and his writing, and I love the Percy Jackson movies, so these books are definitely ones that I want to pick up, and then I want to continue on with that world in the rest of Rick Riordan's books. So the next books I want to pick up are a trilogy. This is the Caraval series. So this is Caraval, Legendary, and Finale, written by Stephanie Garber. This, I believe, follows Scarlet and her sister Tella as they go to a night circus. And this is a circus that only happens at night. I think it only happens once a year or so, I think, where the audience actually participates in the show, and it is a game. So Scarlet's aim is to rescue Tella before the end, and it is, I believe there's a romance in it, there's some mystery and fantasy in it, and I've heard great things about it, and it's something that I've heard great things about most of these books, which is why I keep saying that. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in, so I hope to get to this at some point. The next series of books that I have is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. This is a trilogy with a novella in the middle. So it is Daughter of Smoke and Bone, followed by Days of Blood and Starlight, with the novella Night of Cake and Puppets, and then the 3rd book, which is Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I have no clue what this series is about. I just know that it's a fantasy. There's a romance aspect, I believe, and it is a paranormal book. So, I do want to pick these up and see what they are about. The next series I do actually have physical copies. This is the Charlotte Holmes series. I have the first 2 books in the series. So I have A Study in Charlotte, The Last of August. This is by Brittany Cavallaro. There are 2 more books, which are The Case for Jamie and A Question of Holmes. I believe this is a straight mystery series about Charlotte Holmes, who is the great granddaughter of the famous Sherlock Holmes, and Jamie, who is the grandson of Watson. Charlotte wants nothing to do with Jamie until the 2 are framed for a murder, so they have to work together to solve the crime before they get blamed for it. I've heard amazing things. This series has come recommended by Brittany the Bibliophile, and it is definitely one that I look forward to getting into. I just recently got into reading YA mysteries, so I'm interested to see if I can figure these out. So the next series that I have is one that I have just recently started reading and could not put down, and finished the first 2 books, and am now currently waiting on the edge of my seat for April for the 3rd book to come out. This is the Blood and Ash series. So we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and then A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I just recently finished these. I will do a complete summary of what these are about in my wrap up for January, but I loved them. I do not know what to do with myself now that I've finished it, because this book ended on such a cliffhanger and I'm dying for the third book. I've heard contradictory things about this series. I think I've heard that the third book is the last book, but then I've also heard there's going to be a fourth book, so I'm not sure, but I highly recommend this series. This follows Poppy, who is named the Maiden, and she's lived a very, very sheltered life. Nobody is allowed to look at her face. Nobody is allowed to talk to her. Nobody is allowed to touch her until she meets Hawk. And then everything changes and her life gets turned on its head when she realizes that she has also been lied to her entire life. So, highly recommend these. Very much look forward to the third book in the series, and I cannot wait for it. So the next trilogy I have is one where I've read the first book, but I haven't read the rest of them. This is the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I have read Shadow and Bone. I enjoyed it. Very much wanted to pick up Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. I got to page 97 in Siege and Storm and put it down and then never picked it back up. So this follows Alina Starkov, who is a soldier in the Rovkin army, until she discovers a power that she never knew she had. And then she's taken to join the Grisha in the Grecian army. This is a romance, but it's a fantasy. I'm very interested in picking up the rest of these books. Continuation from the Grishaverse in the Shadow and Bone series, we have the Six of Crows series. So this is Six of Crows and then Cricket Kingdom. They take place in the same world, but different characters. So Six of Crows follows Kaz and his group of thieves, I believe, as they go to commit a crime. I don't know a lot about it. I do know there is some romance in the Six of Crows series. I'm not sure how big a part of that series it is, but I wanted to finish the Shadow and Bone series before I picked up the Six of Crows series. I've heard more positive feedback about Six of Crows than I have Shadow and Bone, but these are definitely ones that I kind of look forward to picking up. The next series I have is the Diviners series by Libba Bray. So you have the Diviners, and then there is Lair of Dreams, followed by Before the Devil Breaks You, and ending with The King of Crows. I do not know a lot about this, but a lot of the booktubers that I enjoy watching have loved it, like Olivia Reads a Latte likes it. I know it takes place in 1920s New York. It is very much a fantasy paranormal book. I believe there is a romance in it. Like I said, I don't know a lot. I just know that a lot of booktubers who I have similar tastes with have enjoyed it. So it is definitely one that I want to pick up. The next series on my list is a big world connected with different series. This is the Cassandra Clare books. So we have the Mortal Instruments series, the Infernal Devices, the Dark Artifices, and all of those books in the series. I have heard really mixed views, but this seems like a classic YA series that a lot of people love, and it is definitely one that I want to try. I have started City of Bones. I haven't finished it, but I definitely do want to. I enjoyed the movie, and I want to see where this world takes me. So the next series I have is the Hazelwood series. This follows Alice Proserpine, whose mother goes missing after the death of her grandmother, who was a famous author for writing a book called The Tales of the Hinterwood. What Alice didn't know was that the Hinterwood was an actual place where fairy tales come to life, and it's not a happy, sunny place. So this series includes The Hazelwood, followed by a novella titled The Boy Who Didn't Come Home, which follows Ellery Finch from the Hazelwood. And then there is The Night Country, which is the sequel to The Hazelwood. And then this year, Melissa Albert came out with The Tales of the Hinterland, which is the series of short stories that Alice Proserpine's grandmother wrote. So it's definitely a series that I've wanted to get into. I started The Hazelwood on audiobook, but the audiobook wasn't vibing well with me, so I definitely want to pick up the ebook or the actual book and dive into this world because it is so interesting. The next series I have is the Serpent and Dove series, so by Shelby Mulherin. So this is Serpent and Dove and Blood and Honey, and then this year she is releasing the third book, which is Gods and Monsters. I'm not sure if this is just going to be a trilogy or if there will be more following the third book, but it is definitely something I look forward to. I have read Serpent and Dove. I am currently in the middle of my reread before I pick up Blood and Honey because I read this earlier last year and I wanted to reread it before picking up Blood and Honey. But this follows Lou, who is a witch. So as she is living her life of crime as a thief in the streets of Cesarine, she runs into Reed, who is a chasseur, or a witch hunter for the church. And they are unfortunately caught in a compromising situation, and Lou and Reed are forced to marry. But Reed does not know that Lou is a witch. So the witch and witch hunter are bound in holy matrimony. And I love their story. I love this book. I kind of want to start reading it again right now, but gotta finish this video. So again, Serpent and Dove, Blood and Honey, Gods and Monsters will be out this year, and I very much look forward to picking them back up. The next trilogy I have is again one I have physical copies of. This is the Folk and Air trilogy by Holly Black. So we have The Cruel Prince, followed by The Wicked King, and then The Queen of Nothing. I have read The Cruel Prince. I very much enjoyed it. I have not yet started The Wicked King, but it is definitely a series that I want to finish. So I wanted to finish the series so I could pick up How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories. This is kind of a prequel about Cardan before he became the Cruel Prince. So this is a gorgeous fairy loot edition with the gorgeous foil cover along with the foil on the hardcover and the beautiful sprayed edges. And then each book has these beautiful illustrations for the stories. So the series follows Jude, who is a human living in the land of fairy with her sisters, and her life with Cardan, who seems to despise Jude, really despise her. So very interested to finish that. Can't wait to pick up The Wicked King to continue that series. The next series I have is an incomplete one. The next, and I believe final book comes out this year. This is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretta, and then Heart of Flames, and the third and final book, which is Wings of Shadow. This book is about Phoenix Riders and a sisterhood that seems to crumble and fall apart until the two sisters are actual enemies. And it seems so interesting. I mean, Phoenix Riders. I'm very interested to see how this progresses because it sounds so interesting. It is an epic fantasy series. I do believe there is some romance in it. I'm not sure, but I definitely want to pick these up. The next series on my list is a trilogy with a possible fourth book coming out this year. I'm not sure if it'll actually be connected to the series or if it's just part of the same world. So this is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which includes Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stair, and The Hand on the Wall. This follows Stevie Bell, who is invited to attend Ellingham Academy, where there is a serious mystery. Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped and never seen again, and the only thing left behind was a mysterious note signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. So this is a mystery trilogy. I very much look forward to picking it up. I've heard amazing things, and having just started really getting into YA mysteries, it's definitely a series that I look forward to picking up. The next series on my list is the Simon Snow series. So this includes Carry On, Wayward Son, and the third book, which is Any Way the Wind Blows, that is coming out later this year. This series is by Rainbow Rowell. It follows Simon Snow, who is supposed to be the chosen one, although he is not confident in his abilities at all, and his roommate Baz, who is supposedly evil and a vampire and a real jerk. So I first became interested in this series after reading Rainbow Rowell's Fangirl, where the main character Kath writes Simon Snow fan fiction. And from reading the pieces of the Simon Snow books and fan fictions based in that book, I wanted to pick up these. So I'm very much looking forward to reading these first two books so that I can read the third and final book when it comes out. So the next series I have is one that I have started. It is The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I have not read the rest of this series. This is a trilogy with like a novella and then I believe another part of the series with a different main character. So the first three books follow Feyre as she is taken into the Fey world by a Summer King or something. Follow Feyre. So the trilogy includes A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. And then the novella is A Court of Frost and Starlight, which I believe is just a little short story about Feyre, Rhysand, and their friends. And then the fifth book coming out this year is A Court of Silver Flames, which follows Feyre's sister Nesta. So I've heard amazing things. I liked the first one. I believe I gave it 3 or 4 stars. It was a solid read. I enjoyed it. So I do very much want to pick up the rest of the series and finish it. The next series I have is another middle grade. This is the Pages & Co. series, which has The Book Wanderers, The Lost Fairy Tales, and A Map of Stories by Anna James. This series follows Tilly, who lives with her grandparents in a bookstore and finds out that she can walk through the pages of a book and talk to her favorite characters in those books. So this is, I believe it's just a trilogy. I don't know that the author is coming out with any more. I have read the first 2 books in this trilogy, and the third book is on my TBR for this month. But I loved it. It is a great, just wholesome read. It is so sweet, and I highly recommend this series. But I do want to pick up the third book in it, and I believe it's the final book. But very good. Can't wait to finish it. The next series I have is the Red Queen series, which includes The Red Queen, Glass Sword, King's Cage, and Warstorm. I have started Red Queen. I have not finished it. So this series follows Mare, who just is a red blood. So she is the lower class system in this book. They have the 2 classes, which are the Silver Bloods, who are the high classes They have powers, they're special. And then you have the red bloods who are normal, do not have powers, and are the lower class citizens. So she is a red blood, but she has the powers of a silver blood. So this is a very political series. I think that's what made me struggle the most about reading it. It is very political. There is a romance, I believe, and the author is said to compare it to Game of Thrones. I have not read Game of Thrones. I have not seen Game of Thrones, but I read enough of the Red Queen that I do want to continue with the book. Just, it wasn't in the cards for me at the time as I was reading it. So it's definitely on my radar. The final series on my list for right now, because I'm sure I will find more books that I want to pick up, is the All Souls trilogy. So this includes A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, The Shadow of Night, and The Book of Life. So this series follows Diana Bishop, who is a witch, and she does not want any connection to her powers, to being a witch at all. She wants to be a scientist or a teacher. So she is currently researching at Oxford, and as she's sitting in the Bodleian University Library, she discovers a book that has been missing for centuries, and she is the only one who can call it forth. So calling forth this book brings out all of the other creatures in this world to come to Diana so they can get this book for themselves. So you have the demons, you have other witches, and you have the vampires, one of which is Matthew. He is a vampire, and he ends up falling in love with Diana, and they're cute. They're cute. So I have read and finished A Discovery of Witches. I want to pick it back up and read it again before I finish these last two books. And then Deborah Harkness recently came out with a fourth book called Time's Convert, which actually follows one of Matthew's children, Marcus, and his story. So his romance is in this book. This is a very, very history heavy book series because Deborah Harkness is a historian. So she very much put the actual history and story in these books. But it is still a series that I highly recommend, even though I've only read one of them. There is also a TV series, the second season of which came out this month. I do recommend watching at least the first episode of the first season to see if you'd be interested in the concept, but I do recommend picking up these books. They are so good, and I really look forward to finishing the series. So those are some of the series that I want to finish or I want to start this year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please put down in the comments any other series that you recommend I look into or that you think I should read. I am always looking for something new to pick up. Or maybe you have some series that you love and you are interested in picking up any of these books. I will definitely have them and any of the booktubers I mentioned listed in the description down below. So please check it out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.